Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Season 36 War 6. Today we're taking on HCW. Matchmaking here a little bit messy. There's a 600 point difference in our war ratings. Not sure what's up with that. So today we're going to be using Omega Sentinel, Spider-Man 2099, who is amazingly not banned, and Nebula. Going to move right up to node 13 here. We've got a Warlock. This Warlock is actually running Suicides, which I didn't check beforehand. Probably would have boosted up a little bit more than this. So right off the bat, this fight goes a little bit off the rails because my reparry doesn't work, and he ends up hitting right through me, taking a 4-hit combo to the face right there. 50% of my health gone in the first seconds of the fight. And then, shortly thereafter here, my dex doesn't work when he tries a heavy. There we go. 20k crit heavy, and to make matters worse, I start regenning, and then I immediately get the infection on me, and I start degenning from his dupe. So I know a few, less than 30 seconds into the fight here, and I'm close to death. So I can't afford a single mistake the rest of this fight. I have to play very conservative. Reason I went with Omega Red here instead of Nebula, mostly because I wasn't sure how Masochism would play with the parry stun and with Nebula's shocks. And also, I didn't want to do the SP3 rotation because his offensive ability accuracy reduction was going to mess with her amp charges, I think. So, and I figured, Omega gets a lot of armor up, so that probably decrease or minimize the length of the infection. But, it happens. So, I'm just trying not to get parried here, being very conservative. There was a little bit of a risky intercept there. I probably shouldn't have done that. But we do get the fight down. And this was not exactly how I wanted to start this war for sure. There we go, a reparry that finally worked. We get him down, close to death. Whew. Okay, next up we have a HAVOK on node 24, boosting up heavily for the rest of my path here. It's not going to matter, as you'll see in a moment. I do take a death on this fight, and I want to talk about why, so I'm going to pause the video here. So EMP Mod says that whenever an attacker gains a buff, and this wording is important, it says gains a buff, not would gain a buff. Defender gains an overclock charge, and of course when the defender uses a special, those are converted into passive shocks on you. So my plan here was to use Omega Sentinel because I needed the armor ups for HAVOK. Her armor ups are permanent, they stack up to 10, so my thinking was that as long as I didn't consume them with a special attack or an auto block, I could just tank the initial set of 10 shocks, and the rest of the fight would just be a shock here and there from dexing. But what ends up happening, as you'll see, is that even when she is at the maximum number of armor ups, whenever she would gain another one, but can't because she can't actually stack more than 10, HAVOK continues to gain those overclock charges, and then every special attack, he's just dumping more and more shocks on me, which ends up killing me about halfway through the fight. Okay, let's unpause the fight so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. At the start of the fight, I'm just playing it normally, doing a good amount of damage here, stacking up those overclock charges as I expected. He's going to get to 10 pretty quickly here, and right there. So he's at 10, he's going to throw this special one, that's going to put the 10 shocks on me. This is all expected, tanking that damage. It's going to do, maybe 20%, but I feel like I'm good to go. But I'm noticing already that it's gaining, he's continuing to gain more even though I'm at my 10 armor ups. And at this point in the fight, I know that it's pretty much over. So I did talk to the team about this, and it turns out that when a champion gains a buff, but is at their maximum number for that type, the game actually replaces the oldest buff in a stack with a brand new one, even though they're permanent. So I'm technically gaining a buff, even though I'm not effectively gaining a buff. And the exception to this is the precision from Dex, which was explicitly changed to stack at 1 and never refresh when they fixed Mystic Dispersion a few years back. Either way, I doubt this interaction is going to get fixed, but I think it absolutely needs to be clarified because this was a very, very frustrating death for me. Nevertheless, we move on. We've got a DORMAMMU here on node 30, going to go in with Spider-Man. Don't really have to worry about Never Back Down or Reinvigorated because Spider-Man has the attack tactic, so as soon as we get the physical vulnerabilities up from his special one, we should be good to go. And I can, weave in some exhaustions from a heavy now and then. DORMAMMU, pretty cooperative here with his special attacks. Doesn't matter at all, though, because, of course, since I don't have any buffs, I don't have to worry about the degen at all. I am trying a little bit to intentionally trigger Dex on that special one, just so I can pause my debuffs a little bit more. There, that time I do get it, but at this point the fight is pretty much over. I've got him heal blocked. My damage is awesome. Got more than enough debuffs up to keep the heal block going, and down he goes. A nice easy fight after that last one for sure. All right, next up we have a Void on node 40, buffet over time. Going to go in here with Spider-Man 2099 as he's a hard counter since he is immune to buffs. We don't have to worry about Void healing ever or triggering the reinvigorated node. I have plenty of debuffs to keep him heal block, but again, it doesn't matter. Could have also used Omega Sentinel here, but frankly, I didn't want to heal her up. And also, Void is Incinerate immune, which gimps about half her damage here. So I'm not doing like a amazing job here, you know, combo counting when it comes to Void, because I'm not going to use Spider-Man for any other fight in this war, and I knew that going in, so if I take a little bit of degen, it's fine as long as I survive and get through the fight. By the same accord, I do get a withered debuff up here with this special 2, and I could probably do more damage by hitting into his block and getting more ruptures on him, but again, the fight is almost over, and with the intimidating presence timer, I don't really want to be too fancy here with hitting into his block and potentially triggering unnecessary degen on myself, but this fight ended up being very easy. Void, I'm sorry, my boy, but I had to KO you. Okay, last fight for me is a Nimrod on node 46. I think we've had a Nimrod on this node every single war this season, including the ones that didn't count. Very common placement, I'm finding. And no matter which person in my section takes this fight, it's always Nebula. She makes it very fast. So in this particular fight, I prefer to just hold block, build up my amp charges to 20, and then do a parry and a special 2 to finish him off. You can do the special 3 rotation if you want. I think this is a bit faster, a bit easier, especially since I'm not going to be using Nebula in another fight beyond this. I don't really have to worry about the block damage and whatnot. So a lot of my holding block is coming during the initial part of the special 1 animation, as you can see. We're already at 20 charges, 40 seconds into the fight. And now we're at the special 2, so 1 parry, launch that special 2, and he goes down immediately after. So very, very easy fight with Nebula. Alright, that's it for this one. We did end up getting the W, bringing our season record to 3-0, 4 kills, 1 unfortunate death, but that's going to happen. I will definitely be more prepared for that HAVOK fight if I see it again in the future. I think the play would either be to bring Odin for the shock resistance pre-fight, or to just bring Warlock. I was lucky that another player in my section had a Warlock already, and he cleaned up my mess for me. So mistakes were made, but the important thing is learning from them going forward, and I will definitely have learned from that fight for next time. So that's going to do it for this one, folks. Hit like, hit sub, all that fun stuff, and as always, thank you very much for watching. See you again next time.